Man goes full Coomer. Spends over $250,000 on camgirl. And later ends up murdering his brother and parents for trying to make him quit watching pornography. Now, what a headline, folks. What a headline. Now, I'm honestly surprised. If there was ever a real-world event that perfectly embodied the Coomer meme, this would be it. But what exactly is the Coomer meme? Here on Know Your Meme, we have the following. Coomer, part of a series of Umer Wojaks about. Coomer refers to a Wojak character described as a person with severe masturbation addiction, similar to that of Cumbrain. Uline similar 4chan Wojak characters, such as 30-year-old boomer and zoomer. Coomer's description includes multiple parody elements which could not be applied to a real person due to humorous exaggeration. Now, the entire idea behind the Coomer meme are people who are addicted to, as it's been said, masturbation, and, this is an extension of anti-pornography memes. There's an entire movement of people who think that pornography is bad and should be banned and no one should be looking at it or masturbating at all. Now, speaking based on what I know about these subjects, one, I don't actually think that pornography is a problem. I believe that people are the problem, and pornography is just another outlet. Now, while it can be a little uncomfortable to talk about these topics, I feel like it's fitting, given the story. There's really no way around it. Some people think it's bad, some people care less. I'm personally a libertarian. I believe everything is good in moderation. Too much of anything is bad, and you can completely abstain if you want, but what gets me the most is this guy is a splitting image in the Coomer music video meme. You can't make this stuff up. Does art imitate life? Or does life imitate art? Who knows? But before we look into the details of this insane story, a quick word from this week's sponsor.
Zuck the cuck drinks water like a duck, but he also drinks your data. So tell him and Google to shove your data up their schwing-schwangs by downloading the Brave browser. You only see ads if you want to see them, and you get cryptocurrency for your attention. Don't let Zuck use you to make a buck. Download Brave by clicking on the link down below.
And we're back. Washington Post. Grant Amato had a problem and it was ripping his family apart. Outside of the walls of his family's well-manicured home in rural area, northeast of Orlando, Florida, the 29-year-old could have been mistaken for another luckless young man suffering through a bad patch. He lost his job, was kicked out of school, and was living at home. Now, this story is a story about a man's downward spiral. He used to be a man, but he fell and became a Coomer. And I've got to be honest, I always thought the Coomer meme was silly, but looking at this guy, I can definitely see where they're coming from. He couldn't stop himself, and that's exactly what caused his life to go out of control. But inside the house, Amato was allegedly gobbling up whatever money he could steal. He lifted $150,000 and $202,000 from his parents, Chad and Margaret. Oh my God. Life has become a meme. His dad was Chad. So there's another meme out there called Chad Thundercock. Here we are. Here we are on Know Your Meme. Chad Thundercock is a nickname for any attractive, popular men who are sexually successful with women. I'm sure some of you are familiar with the Chad meme. He's essentially the pinnacle of men. A muscular, well-endowed man who basically gets all the women he wants. Now normally a Chad would marry a Stacy, but in this case, it looks like Chad married a Margaret, and this ended up creating a Coomer. His brother Cody lost $60,000. When that was gone, Amato allegedly stole his brother's guns and sold them. Amato even allegedly took out a $65,000 loan on his house, so he stole money from his entire family. And what was he spending all this money on? Well, Amato flung all that money through his internet connection, police say, where it landed more than 9,000 kilometers away in the Balkans. Since last June, he had been communicating with a Bulgarian woman who has not been publicly identified. Basically, he spent all of his money on camgirls. They met on camgirls, a live-streaming pornographic website. In 3 months, he had paid out more than $200,000 to interact with the woman. Now, I've talked about these kinds of men before on my channel, cucks and simps. Specifically simps They worship mediocre women, and then they give them all this money. It's an epidemic. You've all heard about those e-girls that are out there on Twitch, raking in the dollars, making thousands and thousands of dollars in a single night for pretty much doing nothing.
$5 a month! How do you have hours of time to watch me and not $5? I don't know. What are you doing with your life where you have hours of time to watch Twitch and not $5 to provide for the content that you're watching? Because it's like people just really don't respect me as a content creator.
Surely quality content. His family knew he had stolen the money, and they knew where it was going. His mom and dad demanded Amato into rehab for a pornography addiction last December. Promises were made, a contract signed between parents and son. The family drama hit such an intensive pitch that Cody confided to his girlfriend he was worried that his brother would kill everyone, according to an arrest affidavit filed recently by Seminole County Sheriff's Office. And here's a twist to the story. He did. He ended up murdering his entire family. Now, this guy clearly had mental issues, and, well, it's perfectly reasonable for us to talk about that. I really don't think that it's pornography to blame. It's always been an easy scapegoat, and a lot of this culturally started after the psychopath Ted Bundy blamed all of his killings on pornography. All of a sudden, it was a household issue. Pornography was making people crazy.
And this is something I think I want to emphasize is the most damaging kinds of pornography. Again, I'm talking from personal experience. Hard, real, personal experience. The most damaging kinds of pornography are those that involve violence and sexual violence. Because the wedding of those two forces, as I know only too well, brings about behavior that is just too terrible to describe.
Now, one of the classic symptoms of a psychopath is that they're pathological liars, and they will spin whatever stupid tale they think will get them sympathy or help. He's clearly lying. Pornography didn't cause him to be a serial killer. His psychopathy and his predatory nature caused him to be a serial killer. This is just an excuse, and this is a whole nother analysis and conversation. Psychopaths are something I've studied quite a lot, and again, pornography is just another scapegoat. Much like video games. People say video games cause violence. People are addicted to video games. Video games are the cause of all of society's problems. I really see it as all the same issue. It's not people who have self-control that get addicted. It's people who have no self-control to begin with. People who have mental issues. In other words, addiction is a symptom, not the cause. So last Friday morning, police discovered inside the family home the bodies of Chad, 59, Margaret, 61, and Cody, 31. All had been gunned down. Now he's facing 3 first-degree murder charges. Police have alleged that his obsession with the girl across the Atlantic propelled Amato to violence. I think we have some mental health issues, Mr. Jeffrey Dowdy, the defendant's attorney, told reporters, and I think it's clear. He clearly has mental problems that manifest as his sexual addiction. A lot of people these days watch this material, and they never become a serial killer. They never murder their family. They never steal money for it. And there's certainly men out there who throw money at e-girls, and I think they're all pathetic losers. But that doesn't mean you need to ban these things. This guy was absolutely a Coomer. But just because you masturbate, I don't think that makes you the same as this guy. That's insane. Ted Bundy drank water. So if you drink water like Ted Bundy, are you a serial killer? No. Clearly this man had problems. So how did this man's life spiral out of control? Well, let's find out. In 2018, he was working as a registered nurse at Advent Health Orlando, but according to police, hospital staff discovered that a medication used as a sedative before surgery in 2 rooms Amato was overseeing. No doctors had ordered the drugs, and records indicated Amato had taken them from the storage machine. So he was confronted about these stolen drugs. He said he administered them to patients who were not adequately relaxed, but the hospital believed that he had improperly been administering drugs. Yeah, and that'll definitely get you fired. And it did. No charges were ever filed, but he did lose his job. He was also kicked out of anesthesiology school. So the family, knowing he had a problem, tried to get him to enter a 60-day sex pornography rehabilitation center. in Fort Lauderdale. He agreed, but walked away from the center before his treatment was complete. Now, his parents were reasonable. They tried to ban him from the camgirl sites, and then the family found out he was still doing it, and you probably know what happened next. This man clearly had mental problems, but mental health is not an issue that's talked about properly in America, and I believe that it's causing a generation of very mentally ill men who throw money at e-girls. They're willing to ruin their lives over it. They're not receiving help, and this is causing them to lash out. Now, people are going to tell you, oh, this is just because he was addicted to the pornographic materials, and this is all its fault, but I think that's just a scapegoat. It's an easy thing to blame. But it's hard to admit? It's hard to admit that we have a mental health problem in this country. Maybe that's the problem. For those of you that have seen the Joker film, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. But you know what, my friends, it's pretty much the story. Man goes full Coomer, never go full Coomer. Men out there, have some pride. Have a little self-control. If you recognize that you have these mental problems, well, I hate to say it, but maybe you need to see a professional. Or at the very least, gain control over your own life. But that's merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. What do you think about this story? I find it rather disturbing. I didn't think I would ever make a video about this subject, but here we are. Let me know what you think. As always, if you want to support the content that I make, you can join me on Patreon or Subscribestar. Joining will give you access to a private Discord server. If you want to support the channel, you can donate via DonorBox or Bitcoin. All links are down below in the description. As always, thanks for watching. This has been Mr. Obvious, and I'll see you all next time.